It's just, yeah, that's a... Good morning, or good evening, rather. It is 6:30, according to, 6:31, I'm late. Howdy, neighbors. Thank you all for coming tonight. And thank you for all the folks that are watching in places like Colorado and Meadow, Texas. This is Wednesday, June 7th, 2023 at 6:31 p.m., and this is a Meadows Place City Council Town Hall meeting. This is different than a public hearing. That we're going to try to be respectful and get everybody the opportunity to speak that wants to. We're going to put a cap on your time. If everybody that speaks that wants to and then has somebody wants to add something or question, we'll come back. But we want to give everybody an opportunity to express their opinion, their thoughts, or to jot some questions down. Yesterday afternoon, Rick threw a curveball at me that I thought was very good, so he's going to end up running part of the meeting. Nick Habe, our city administrator, is going to take off and run a part of it. But please note, as we go through that, the purpose of this town hall meeting is to give a brief presentation and for City Council to receive general public comment. That's it. There are no places to vote. There's no decisions going to be made. As a matter of fact, y'all have the same amount of information if you've looked on the website and seen their presentation as we have. Okay, so it's not like there's been a whole ton of secret meetings going on. We've met with the developers a couple times, and they asked for this opportunity. And one of our council members thought it was a wise idea. And we've had town meetings before, and they've been very successful. In fact, I'm proud of how we behaved at the Meadows Elementary, and that's kind of what we're looking for here. But there is no right and no wrong. So come up and give your opinion. Council is very interested in your input. So don't be shy, please. Come up, be respectful to the council, your neighbor, and the developers. And that's with that, I'm going to say thank you and let's get started. Chad, could you step up and introduce the group, please? Are you
into the microphone.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's better.
Good evening. I speak for behalf of Eco Development. We've been here for years. I'm actually from Turkey, but I've been here over 20 years. I'm more from Texas than anywhere else. So we've been, looking at this beautiful piece of property, basically, and we've been going back and forwards to see what we can do for our city, basically. Your opinion matters.
We're going to let you get presentation in a second. Do you mind introducing your folks that are with you?
Of course. I have Mike here with me, Matt, Mike, and Aaron. So we came to basically, listen and discuss, see what we can do.
Okay. And also, Chad, are you going to be visiting with us at all? Chad he's been out here before, and he's with Hewitt Zollers, and he's a tie to the city, and they've done work for us in the past, not on this project, but Chad is also now the mayor of Needville. Congratulations. I know how that goes. Nobody else wanted the job. As I mentioned, I'm going to ask Nick Habe, our city administrator. He'll take control of this in just a second. And Rick Stagley, who will be running the discussion from the audience and from all our residents. And we're going to do that a little bit different, and I'll let Rick tell you about that. Then we'll have some questions by council at the end. After y'all, we'll have comments by the residents. And then we'll sit here till everybody's tired of talking, then we'll go home. There is going to be, as I mentioned, no votes taken, none of that. There's no formalities in that regard. This is a town hall meeting. And with that, I'm going to turn around and see, are y'all ready to start your presentation?
Yeah. Sure, of course.
I'm sorry, we're doing yours first. Right. In that case, Nick, are you ready to start your presentation?
I'll do my best.
And you'll
Thank
do
you,
what?
Mayor.
I'm sorry, I jumped the gun.
So before we give the developer the opportunity to share their vision and ideas for the property, we thought it might be a good idea for the city to give a bit of an explanation of where we are right now in the process and what all this really means from a zoning perspective. So as you may know, the city has a zoning ordinance, and that zoning ordinance essentially regulates the use of certain land in town. The photo that you have there in front of you is a zoning map of the subject area. To get your bearings, you've got Airport and you've got Kirkwood there, Kirkwood running north and south. And the subject tract is in that red box there, and you see that CM, that's a zoning category. There's other zoning categories around it. You see C1, C2, C3. Those are all different kinds of commercial zoning classifications. Each one of those zoning classifications has certain uses that are allowed in those different classifications. So certain businesses, certain uses can go in those different colored areas depending on what color it is. CM is a different kind of commercial classification than the others because it's called commercial mixed use. And if you go into our zoning ordinance, it'll tell you what kinds of uses can go in that commercial mixed use zone. So what is a commercial mixed use zoning? Well, I won't read it to you, but there it is. That's the definition in the city's code book of what a CM is designed to do. And so essentially, it's not straight commercial, it's not straight residential. It's really designed to be a mix of the two, and so it's somewhat of a unique classification in that sense. When you go into the code book, you'll see very closely below the definition what uses are permitted in that CM zone. And this is a list of the uses that are permitted by right in that zone. And you can see the parks, utilities. Accessory uses would be things like garages, parking lots, things that are essentially serving a principal building. Home occupations, which would essentially not apply here because you'd have to have a home in the first place, but it would essentially run a business out of a home. Facilities that would be owned and maintained by the city. And then the last three are really what we want to focus on, particularly the last one. You'll notice that the last three have the words planned development in there. Planned development for residential, for commercial, and for commercial residential mixed use. So the reason that third one is highlighted is because that's the section that we're really focused on today. Because even though commercial residential mixed use is permitted in this zone, it still has to go in front of City Council for review and for a vote. So what is a planned development? Well, here it is. I've highlighted some what I thought were important pieces of this section, but essentially it provides greater flexibility for the city to essentially create a zoning category that's very specific to that piece of property. What that means is that before a planned development can get built, it has to go in front of City Council, and City Council has to vote on whether or not they agree with that specific planned development. So if a developer comes in and they want to build a specific use that has a mix of residential, a mix of commercial, they would submit a site plan to the city that's very deliberate about what they're going to bring in. And if the City Council approves that site plan, then that commits the developer to building that site plan that the city approved. If they were to vary from that site plan, if they were to change it up in any way, they couldn't do that without City Council approving that change. The rest of these are a bit wordy, and I apologize for that, but there's really no way to boil this down, so just have to bear with us here. When somebody submits an application for a planned development, in this case a planned development for mixed use, there are certain things that they have to include in that application. Some of this is pretty basic. Name and address, the sections of the chapter that authorize that planned development, the legal description and the street address of the property, a statement of ownership. We have to make sure that the person who owns the property is the one that's applying. Obviously, if somebody else wants to apply, they have to make sure the owner's okay with it. There's a little bit more here. Something called an environmental assessment form, which is essentially something City Council can require, anything from a traffic impact analysis to other assessments that essentially would create what you might call nuisance characteristics or environmental impacts on surrounding properties. Think noise, light, traffic, etc. The City Council has the discretion to basically make the developer prove that they can mitigate all of those nuisance characteristics, right? Something else they have to submit would be, it's pretty wide open, but it gives the council the ability to require such documentation that they think is necessary to make a good decision. Because ultimately, when that application comes in front of City Council, and I want to emphasize, we have not received an application right now. The developer is asked to see essentially if this would be a good fit, but they have not yet submitted a formal application, okay? And that's part of what we're doing here tonight is receive comment from the public on whether the community feels that this is a good fit. But they haven't officially submitted anything yet. So when they do, the City Council can go back to them and say, we want this, this, and this to help us better clarify the decision we're going to make. And so there is a bit of an open-ended section there at the end that basically says they can require other things to make sure that they're making a good decision. And it really is circumstantial depending on what is being built there. They also have to obviously give you the size of the property, location of all the streets, ingress and egress, that is, how are you coming in, how are you going out of the property, the number and height of any of the buildings to be constructed. They have to let you know that as well. The lot coverage, that kind of speaks to the site plan, right? How much of that land is going to be covered with buildings and other flat work, improvements, etc. Proposed location of any and all green space, public parks, other areas reserved for public use. These are all things that they have to show on a site plan that they have to be committed to if it's approved. Now, when the council considers the application and decides whether they're going to vote yes or no, the ordinance actually gives them some criteria, some standards that they're supposed to look at whenever they go ahead and review this. And the ordinance spells this out. You can see it here. Essentially, it has to be consistent with the city's comp plan, which is in the code book. It has to minimize adverse effects on adjacent properties. It will not have any adverse effect on the value of any adjacent properties. Will not have any unduly burden essential. It will not unduly burden essential public facilities and services. And they have to make sure that the applicant has adequate financial and technical capacity to complete the development. So these are all things that the City Council is supposed to look at when deciding whether or not to allow a development like this to go through. Once that occurs, it happens very similar to any rezoning in town. The Planning and Zoning Commission gets together first. They are an advisory group. They review, and then they bring the City Council a recommendation on whether or not the City Council should vote for this. The City Council receives that recommendation, thanks the P&Z for their work, and then they themselves get to make their own decision. Now, does the City Council have to vote yes if the Planning and Zoning Commission says we think you should vote for this? They don't have to. They can go against what P&Z recommends if they want to. But they do have to wait by law for the P&Z to give their recommendation first. Okay? So, once we get to the end of it, the council votes, and then once they vote, that site plan, that application, everything that's written in that plan development is then essentially you might call it a contract between the city and the developer. They have to build it exactly the way they said they would based on what the council voted. If they try and change anything, that's against the law. They would have to go back to City Council and ask for that change. So that's what a plan development is. It's a very, very specific zoning classification that's unique to that piece of property. And once it's approved, it's there. And the only way it changes is by another vote of City Council. I do have to put that last part in there. because it's the end of the ordinance, and if you go into 153, you'll find it. There is a little provision in there for what we might call protest. It's very specific, and basically what it says is that in this case, within a 200-foot radius of that subject property, if 20% of the owners sign a petition protesting the change of zone, let's say that City Council went ahead and approved it, 20% of those owners within 200 feet could go ahead and petition that it not go through. And if that's the case, it would take 3/4 of the council members to overturn that petition. So essentially 3/4 of 5 people, you have to round up on a partial person. That would be 4 out of 5 council members that would have to overturn that petition. With that, that hopefully frames the issue a little bit. The developer is here tonight to make a presentation. Again, I want to emphasize no application has been submitted to the city at this time, but I think the developer is here to listen, and I think the developer is here to understand what would be in the best interest of the community, and I think that's why we're here tonight. So, Mayor, I'm going to hand it off to you.
All right. Now, I will say thank you very much again now that my mic is on. I appreciate that. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you took away from that the fact that this is in our code book. It's written down. We can't make this stuff up or change it willy-nilly on the fly. We've got to follow these steps and ordinances just as Nick laid them out. So if you have any questions about it, you can look it up. You can call Courtney tomorrow or Nick or one of the other council member that you have a relationship with and say, hey, what does this mean? Now, moving on to next, we are here to see a presentation.
Great.
So with that, take it away.
Okay. Okay.
There should be coming up right now.
Okay. Yes, please. Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure there was no music in the background. Oh, okay. Here it is. Okay, then I'm going to let it play and then speak later.
Great job.
Okay, great. May I start? Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Zach Yazıcı. I wish to begin by thanking Mayor Jessup, the City Council, and the community of Meadows Place for being here tonight. I speak of development that lofts at Meadow Square, a multi-family structure with a commercial retail space. A-plus lofts at Meadow Square is more than just a building. It is a visionary concept that encompasses the spirit of the modernity and the connectivity. With a slick and contemporary architectural design, the lofts at Meadow Square will serve as a stunning centerpiece, transforming the landscape of the community. Its striking presence will not only attract attention, but also inspire a sense of pride and distinction among residents and visitors alike. What truly sets the lofts apart is the inclusion of a thoughtful design town square, a communal space that will become the beating heart of our community. This inviting area will offer a variety of amenities and features, such as beautiful landscape gardens, comfortable seating areas, interactive installations. It'll be a place where families can gather, children can play, and neighbors can come together to socialize and build a meaningful connection. The town square will serve as a focal point for our community events, live performances, and cultural celebration, fostering a vibrant and inclusive atmosphere that celebrates our diverse identities as shared values. In addition to creating a sense of unity and community, lofts will bring substantial economical benefits to our neighborhood. The inclusion of commercial retail spaces will attract a diverse range of businesses, from local entrepreneurs to established brands. This influx of businesses will create job opportunities for our residents, contribute to the local economy, and support the growth and sustainability of our neighborhood. And the inclusion of A-plus loft is an opportunity for our neighborhood to flourish and develop into a more vibrant community. Its modern architectural design and the addition of vibrant town square will not only enhance our physical surroundings, but also foster a strong sense of connection, unity, and economical growth. I urge you to embrace this vision, to see the potential it holds for our neighborhood and our neighborhood's future. Your ideas hold immense value to us, and we would greatly appreciate any input you may have in order to tailor this development to align with your needs, with our needs of our neighbors. Basically, this is what I have. I'm open to all the questions. Please feel free.
Well, we're going to do this a little bit differently than that. Charlie, you ready for me?
If you would, sit close, or maybe you want to sit down over there. Doesn't he have a mic? Okay. And now I'm going to turn it over to Councilman Rick Stagley, and he's got the list. Do you have?
I don't have the list. I don't need it.
Okay.
So
you don't need the list.
Charlie asked me to run this meeting because I've got a lot of experience running large public facility meetings as well as possibly contentious meetings. We've done this as a town hall meeting instead of a public hearing because it gives City Council a little bit more leeway in our responses. If this was a public hearing, we'd be pretty much limited to statements of policy and thank you for your comment. As I said, this gives us a little more leeway for some back and forth and interaction. These meetings have a tendency to take a life of their own. So in order to keep balance, we're going to alternate viewpoints. So the developer got to give his presentation. Obviously, that's a pro. We will start with someone that wants to speak against the project and flip back and forth until one side has gone through all their speakers, and then we will open it up to the opposing side if there's still more people to speak, and we'll hear from anybody that wants to. At some point, though, you'll just be repeating yourselves, and we can just stand up and say ditto or something like that.
No, that's not a joke. That's a request.
So I guess with that, Courtney, do you have the list, or is it down front? And did we have people say whether they were going to speak for or against? Yes. Okay. Okay. So I don't know that everybody that signed the sign-in sheet actually wants to speak, so I will call out your name. You can either come speak, and you can come with, you're just against it and state your reasons, or you can ask specific questions of the developer. Looks like a Maud Edison or Madra. No speaking. Morris? Judy Burnett, would you like to speak? Barbara Kennedy, please.
Okay, I'm Barbara Kennedy. I'm a 38-year resident of Meadows Place. So I've been here for the good and the bad. But I have some direct questions about this particular issue. One being flood control. I don't see any retention ponds or any kind of notation of how they're going to handle the runoff from water. That's been ground forever. There's never been anything that built there that I know of. And if you take that source of water absorption away by putting 3 levels of parking garage and 2 levels of apartments, that's going to impact the amount of how that water flows. And we saw that just day before yesterday when the streets were having trouble handling the water. My other thing is the fragility of our infrastructure. We are an older community. Our roads are in need of repair. Our water system is in kind of dicey condition right now. And our police department, I think, is pretty much stretched to what they can handle. We don't see them driving around our neighborhood like we used to. I don't see anybody coming down my street, hardly. Anyway. And then the other thing is the traffic. Now, I experienced it coming over here today that I had to wait for about 50 cars to go past on Airport going westbound to get out my street. And then coming down on the other side of Airport, on past Kirkwood, I had to wait for a whole other line of people because those lights are synchronized so poorly. There's not a chance that everyone has to stop. So something needs to be done about that, and that, like I say, the traffic and rush hour and the evening hours and putting a lot of apartments in that area, it's only going to exacerbate the problem. So, anyway, I guess my 3 minutes is probably up, but thank you very much for your time.
Barbara, thank you very much. There were some specific issues addressed, Rick.
So as far as the detention, obviously they're still in very early concepts. We would go through that if they ever got to a point of actual design. What I can tell you is our system was designed in 60s and 70s. It is what it is. It really can't be expanded. But that site was actually considered with the original storm sewer design for the city. It was always planned to go up Kirkwood to the ditch that runs west and then goes north into Keegan's Bayou. Obviously, things have changed a little bit since then, but we would look at it based on the actual conditions if they get to a site plan. I would caution everyone that wants to talk about traffic to probably just take that out of your talking points. Anything that the city put on that site that we would want is going to generate significant amount of traffic. And at one point, there were 6 or 7 5 to 9 story buildings approved for that site. Medical complex, probably 3,000 to 4,000 trips a day, maybe more. Obviously, that would have had a much more significant impact than what this is talking about. And let me throw this out there. How many of you would love to see an HEB on that site?
Me.
And guess what? That would be a tremendous amount of traffic added to that site. So you can't say traffic from this site, but we want an HEB. It's disingenuous. And I will tell you that HEB is not coming to that site. Shirley Isbell and I talked with HEB for years, and that was before they put the HEB on 6 and University. There is no way they're coming to this site.
All right. Police.
The next 4 is Osman. I can't read. Please, can't read the last name. Sure, come to the.
Address the police. Before you get started, and we're going to ask you to give your name, Barbara, we spoke to the police chief about this and talked in consideration, and there will be, without a doubt, the need for at least one more, but in all likelihood, 2 more police officers if they add that on there, and that's been considered, taken in, and what we can do.
My name is Osman. Good evening. I'm here with my wife, Judith Jordan. We are currently at 12503 Brook Meadows Lane. We've been only in the neighborhood for 2 years. We just love it, everything. All of our neighbors, they're living in 10 plus years. We just kind of like it, and we currently are looking for a house, actually. And when we just found out on the website, I got excited. My wife is very undecided. For my question to the developers is, if this were to approve, how long this project will take to become a reality? And then second question will be security. Does developers have any plans for this huge complex security, how this is going to operate? But this is the 2 questions I have pretty much. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. You want to address those?
Sure. We definitely thought about the security. We're definitely willing to, not willing to, but we're definitely doing a 24/7 security here, and we were actually willing to offer a security services, or ask for the services from our police department. So, we have 2 options, but as a part of our part, definitely need security for each. That's a must. And I forgot the second question. Oh, the time frame. Yes. To get it to reality, obviously, the permits plan, everything takes in place. That takes time. It's about 3 to 4 years time period.
Scott Holland. Sure. Barbara Young. Tammy Young. Sean Ulrey. What was that, Sean? Okay. Mike Schofield has a question, so I guess Mike.
My disability starts Monday. No, I'm just kidding. My name is Mike Schofield. I live on Meadowdale. I've lived there for, I'd say 30 years. Seeing a few changes. We like the neighborhood and our neighbors and everything. And I was looking at these pictures here, and this is kind of a general question. I see the pictures of these proposed apartments, and they're just beautiful. So, and I see the picture of the outside area, the public area, and the library and everything like that. But on the apartments, like pictured on, I don't know what page it is, it says apartment amenities, they look pretty high end, So my question to everybody here and this gentleman is, how much are they going to rent for?
Great question. Thank you, sir.
So, well, tell me.
Yeah, one rooms, they're going to start anywhere from 2,500 plus up, today's market.
25.
So the one bedroom.
One bedroom is going to start from anywhere from 2,500. Yep.
Well, the other thing I see is there's a lot of open land here in your development.
Can we keep the chatter down?
Hey, I got the floor. Y'all be quiet. I'm serious. So this gentleman proposed this project. He's got a lot of open land in between these buildings. And it seems like if I was building, I'd fill up some of that empty land and put some more apartments there. But it looks pretty open. A lot of room between the buildings.
Mike, can you try to talk into the mic?
Well, maybe. Okay. I don't want to talk. You don't want me to talk that way? You want me to talk this way? Okay, that's all I got. I just my concern. How many apartment units are we talking about here?
We're talking about 275.
And they're renting about $2,500 each?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Shad Shreve, you want to speak?
Good evening. Thanks for having us. Shad Shreve. I live on Hogard. Been here for 23 years now. Raised 2 boys and a girl. We started the family here. I've seen this community grow. The baseball fields started out there, obviously. The swim team. Everything's been fantastic. In my brief number of 48 years on this earth, the 2 things that I know is obviously taxes are going to go up, and apartment complexes, condos, lofts don't bring good things to the community. They may start out good and they got good intentions, but over time they're going to go downhill. You brought up the police issue of having security. Are we talking about a rent-a-cop that's probably not going to carry a weapon on his side? This past week, obviously, I think we all know and are very familiar with the CVS incident that happened just on the other side of the neighborhood. The Radio Shack over here in the strip center, when it was there, we couldn't even take care of that. And now you're talking about bringing in 275 units? The police is already stretched. As Ms. Barbara said, I don't see the cops coming down my streets anymore. Why am I getting treated like a second-class citizen? The security.
I'm going to stop you right there, Chad, and I don't mean to be rude here, and I've stopped your time. And Barbara, I'm addressing yours as well. I'm not accepting the fact that the cops aren't out there. We're looking at the number of miles. Matter of fact, if you go look at my desk right now, you can see the cost per mile per unit that we have in this city. And those miles don't get put on there sitting in the driveway. We are getting out there. I don't know how often you sit outside and monitor for police. Mike Baker, who was police chief before Chief Stewart,
right,
and I talked about it because I heard the same comments then. I made them, and he said, well, Mayor, we can do this once a week when we're driving through town. We can just turn on our police sirens. And nobody's going to like that, I guarantee you, because I've done it. So we may not be seeing them, but if you want to come up here, and they're not going to tell you their routes, but they will tell you how many miles and what they're doing. And I'll be happy to sit down and we can have a cup of coffee with the chief. Ladies and gentlemen, I assure you our police department is patrolling. And they're out there, and they're going up and down the streets. So, Chad, not to interrupt, but back to this subject.
Yes, sir. I appreciate those comments, Mayor. Again, we just look at it from what we can see. I know crime obviously has risen, just like it has everywhere. I know they're doing the best. I'm not faulting the police by any stretch. I just think they need to be given the resources to be able to do their job. Look at the catalytic converter thefts that we've had. I know that we put out the report every month. I know those continue to go up. We continue to have incidents. Broad daylight, people are getting pretty brazen these days. Now you're talking about adding 275 units with, if you fill the units up, a buttload of more people, that is going to require more security. And notice in the renderings that y'all have done, there seems to be a lot of open space, like they said. I just worry about there's too many access points to get in and get out of. When people flee from the police, obviously, they go to apartment complexes because they know they can go in, around the corner, and they're gone. You're never going to find them. So I'm a no on it. The drainage issue, obviously. The traffic, of course. We have to sit in it every day. It's bad enough as it is now, getting everything that comes from Highway 6 going all the way on the other side of Highway 6 coming down, both in the mornings and in the evenings going home. Used to be a quick drive off 59 to get to my street, to Mulholland, and not anymore. Now it's from Derry Ashford all the way past Mulholland, almost to the park in the afternoons between 5 and 6 p.m. to get home, because everyone's using it as a cut-through. So,
Darn
adding
Sugarland people.
do what?
The darn Sugarland people.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, property values. I know we're going to do a study potentially on that, to what it's going to do to our property values, but I don't see good things happening with that. Again, with the 275 units at, would you say $2,500 a piece?
$2,500
I mean, that's
a piece.
a lot of money coming into the city. Are our taxes going to go down? I don't think so. But granted, I'd like to see something on that land and make it productive, but I think we need to put the right thing there. And I don't believe this is it.
All right, Chad, thank you very,
Thank you.
very much.
I just want to address a couple points there.
Please.
This is not the city's proposal. This is the developer's proposal. City is listening to them just as we're listening to you. Beyond that, the money that's paid for rent isn't coming to the city. That's going to the developer. What the city would get would be the ad valorem taxes on the value of the development.
Yep.
And then any sales tax that is generated from the commercial side. But just to be clear, the city is listening to this. No commitments have been made by the city.
And I want to reiterate that one of the reasons we're listening is so that you can come in here and sit and hear and speak to the council, ask questions of the developer, see at one time what's being presented, because before it was presented, there was all kind of crazy questions and comments and things. So we'll all see it together. Barbara, also, I've talked to you about retention. You know, down there at the there's that retention where the pond is behind used to be Stafford Center, what's the Meadows Senior Village? Not Meadows Senior Village, the Alzheimer's unit, okay? That was all part of the inclusion when it was about the doctor's offices and the hospitals that were going to sit there. That would handle retention for all of it. So now there's a little, they're no longer all on the property, so part of the retention is the developer's going to have to work with those people to get that water over there. But that's secondary.
All right, I've got another person with a question mark, Sam Skimp. Do you wish to ask your question or speak? Okay, just so everybody knows, the rest of the people on the list have indicated they're pretty much against this, so we've got through one side. What about the other side? What's that?
We hope you will sit here and listen to the rest.
Yeah.
Now, if you have questions, come on up, seriously.
Yeah, so let me go through the list real quick. It looks like a Braden or a Brandon from Amblewood. Amaya? Yes. You can come up, like I said, you can come up with questions, you can come up with I'm against it or I'm for it, whatever you want to do.
Good evening, everybody. Amaya Labrador from...
Get close to the mic, Amaya. Bend it down.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Amaya Labrador from 11807 Amblewood. I am a project architect here in Houston. Thank you, council. Thank you, mayor. Thank you, neighbors, for coming, and thank you to the developer. Can we go back to the first slide?
Of course.
First, I do want to state that I agree that a mixed-use development is a good use case for this parcel of land, and I'm not opposed to that. I am concerned that the topics of utilities, traffic, and the increased loads on our city services were not addressed as part of this presentation. If you know the city, you know these were going to be the topics of discussion tonight. I'm also concerned that we have no information on any market studies that you may have developed or a pro forma that you need in order to make this project financially successful for you. And then finally, I would like to ask if you guys are implying a relationship to GID, the developer of the rendering that's on the screen. This is a development here in Houston. Are you guys affiliated?
Correct. Correct. No, we're not affiliated.
Okay, so this is an inspiration picture
Inspiration, exactly.
that you have not credited to the owner.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
No?
Okay. And I don't know that they're to that stage yet, Amaya. They want to know if they've got a, call it a snowball's chance in August of getting this through. Linda Burtons? Randall Miller? Bob and Margie Suddy, maybe? Bob?
Okay, my name is Bob Suddy, and I live on Blair Meadow, and we love the neighborhood. We love Meadows Place. We moved here so that our boys would be in this neighborhood and go to Dulles High School, and they did that, and now they're out and doing other things. And anyway, I heard about this and thought about, well, I didn't know there were 275 units, and that would probably be, let's say, about 900 people, and probably about 400 cars. And that's just a guess. I don't know, it might be more, might be less. I know we were told not to talk about traffic.
I just said it probably wasn't a valid point. You can talk about it all you want.
Well, you know, just to get to Walmart, when you're backed up to Kelly's at the light there, and you wait for 2 or 3 lights, right now the situation is not good. When I have to wait for a couple of lights to turn off on Mulholland to go home, and it's not just people like these 900 that would be living here, but it's trucks that go out to deliver things, and it's commuters that come from Aliana and Rosenberg. I mean, I don't know how far they come from, but they sure fill up this road. And, you know, I would think maybe if we put 8 lanes in there, well, maybe 12, I don't know. But really, we need another retirement home there. It's just that, okay, I have nothing against apartments. I've lived in apartments, and these look like a very beautiful idea and very beautiful units. But really, I don't think I'd want to live there with the traffic that comes by on Airport, because, I mean, it's already jam-packed. And how jam-packed is it going to be with 900 more people living right there? The other thing that occurred to me, you said luxury units. Well, I hear people talking about a hard landing recession coming up. And I don't know if that's a good prediction or not, but if it's a good prediction, there might be fewer people looking for luxury units than less luxury units. If you know what, that's all.
Sure. I mean, the amount of people moving into Texas, especially Houston, is outrageous, so it will definitely support it, I promise you. And as far as the traffic goes, we've done some studies. We have some studies from Harvard University. According to their study in 2007, single-family houses have more cars than the apartments, and they tend to be 52 higher more in traffic than the apartment owners. So I lived many years in apartments, and when I lived in apartments, I had only one car. Now I live in an apartment, I have 4 cars.
I mean, in a home, yeah.
So, I live in a home, I have 4 cars. And now my kids are growing, they're going to need cars. So I might get to where I have 6, 7 cars. So the traffic issue, I promise you guys, we studied this. It will definitely, I can assure you, it will not be a problem. It will not be a bigger problem than what we have here.
Rick,
And Bob, you didn't hear the mayor ask how much I paid you, because I've been talking to the mayor about the need to go to 6 lanes on Airport for quite some time now.
I'm sorry we were getting staticky.
Hey, Rick. Rick,
Go ahead.
real quick, what is the traffic count on Airport, the latest one that we have?
I don't know that we've done one recently, but in general, we're pushing 30,000 vehicles a day on Airport, and probably about 14, well, north of Airport, it's probably 12 to 14,000 vehicles on Kirkwood. South of Airport, it's actually pushing 20,000.
So adding 300, okay.
So, I mean, there's over 50,000 vehicles a day that go through that intersection.
Wow.
So,
Beverly McDaniel. Jesse Rodriguez.
Well, I wanted to say something. My wife texted me not to
Oh, okay. Everyone, who has a couch? Who has a couch that Jesse can use tonight?
My name is Jesse Rodriguez. I've been a Meadows resident for over 30 years, and my wife has been a Meadows resident in the same home for longer. I do have my concerns. I'm not going to mention traffic. You had said something, Nate, about being a petition within 200 feet. I don't think any resident will live within 200 feet of this complex, so that is pretty much a moot point. We cannot put a petition up for that. I'm pretty old, and I'm only going to want to say one thing. I'm a native Houstonian, born and raised, lived in Sharpstown growing up. And growing up, the Gulfton area was a very cool place in 76, 77, and to the early 80s. It was a very nice place to hang out. Those apartment complexes had shopping centers, they had nightclubs, and they were really nice. Now, you and I will be long gone before that happens. We'll be in the ground. But my daughter has bought a house in the neighborhood, very young, and we want to attract young people to this neighborhood. If y'all were to build the 4-story, 35, 40 townhomes that actually would bring tax revenue to the city along with the shopping, yes, I would be all for that. I would be all for the 4 cars in the townhomes adding to the traffic. But multi-units never, no matter how nice they are in the beginning, they never last to be nice. They always devalue over time.
Jesse, can I interrupt you?
Sure.
And I went to all those same apartments, and then they moved out to Westheimer, and then it turned into the Gulfton Ghetto. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Did I hear you say that if it were townhomes rather than apartments, you'd have a different attitude toward it?
Yes, because they're individually owned. They're not renters. They have a commitment to the area they live. They have property taxes they have to pay. They're owners of that house. When you are renting, no matter how nice the apartment is, no matter what, I would say 60, maybe, I'm not even going to guess, but there's a lot of people that like apartment living. No maintenance, no yard taken care of and all. But I would say the majority are looking out to own and to invest and to buy something real. Apartments are transitional position. You lived in an apartment. Now you have a home. You raised a family. You want that type of environment. And apartments are not that type of environment. I love your shopping centers, but the multi-tenant part of this, especially 250 units, is just something I'm totally against. And that's all I got to say.
Yep, thank you. As far as the tax issue, 275 units apartment complex will bring in more taxes because it's considered commercial property, and it does bring in more taxes according to the city.
No, the zoning of the land has no bearing on what kind of ad valorem we collect. So whether it's residential or commercial, it has more to do with the value on the ground as opposed to what type of use it is. Where the city may stand to gain more revenue would be in the sales tax portion, and that would only be from commercial uses that actually had a component that did provide sales tax. So on the ad valorem, on the property tax side, it has everything to do with the value, not with the use on top.
But, in general, I'm saying more than 40 townhomes, right? This property would value more than 40 townhomes, basically.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know.
Based on value. We're investing definitely more. That's my point.
What would your, what is your value estimate on this complex right now?
$50+ million.
$50 million.
$50+ million.
$40 million.
Yes.
Okay, so it's $50 million divided by 100 times 0.806 right now. That's getting ready to go down to 0.7. So anyway, folks, that's the value that they're running at, and that'll all depend on what it is appraised at, and that's what the CAD will use. All right, thank you.
No problem.
See, I'm getting old, and that humming doesn't bother me. Does anybody have an?
Well,
you still got other people?
Tom Lloyd.
Disconnected.
Yeah, we don't know where the feedback's coming from. We'll try to figure that out.
I just have some questions. 11415 Dorrance. How many residential parking spots per unit? I've lived in apartment complexes where they have one per unit and everyone has to park on the street, and it's horrible. And this is for Nick. What is the penalty if their proposal changes and they build it and they haven't gotten the approval? I mean,
it's a legal question, but there are civil penalties in addition to our ability to issue a stop work order. So let's say that it doesn't, when the project's being constructed, if it doesn't match with the plan set that they committed to, we would make them stop.
Okay.
Basically, you just don't issue the occupancy permit, and they can't open the business or open the apartments.
Okay. Can the city's water and sewer support this development, or would we have to expand that? I know that we're already struggling, we need a new...
The water and sewer, when fully functional, yes. Obviously, we've got an issue with our wastewater treatment plant right now that we need to get fixed, but that is a separate issue from this. We need to fix that no matter what.
All right. What type of businesses would be allowed in this type of thing? Like dentists and lawyers or pawn shops? I mean, no offense to people who own pawn shops, but...
We don't know yet.
Okay.
When you draft up a PUD or a plan development, the city does have some control over the uses that could go in there if it's built into the ordinance.
Okay.
But obviously the developer would have to agree to that.
Right.
And it's a legal question as to how narrow we can get on what could go in there. But you got to keep in mind that when the development is approved, even though we could tie it to a use, that use may or may not already be lined up for that piece of property. So we could say that specific uses could only go there, but ultimately whether or not they actually do or they stay empty is a question that we could not predict.
All right. Having to come from a city that has had this issue. Is there a way that we can limit short-term rentals? I know some places are Airbnb hotels unofficially because all the condos have been bought and then are short-term rented.
I believe the official answer is still no. We cannot ban them, but we do treat them a little bit differently than standard rentals.
Okay. And my wife just texted me a few questions here. Let me see.
Are you going to be sleeping on the couch with Jesse?
It looks like they've all been covered by other people. All right. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Lloyd. Thank you. 11415 Dorrance.
Tom, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. As far as the parking space, I mean, we designated 5 per unit, considering the retail space. Okay. So that will be plenty per our study because we were doing a lot of 1 bedrooms. Okay. You know, that's the majority, not so many 3 bedrooms and stuff. And plus the retail space will bring in some, traffic basically. And for you folks basically come in and eating at those restaurants. Okay. We're considering that's going to be plenty, but again, there will be some studies done, so nothing's set in stone. We want to make sure it's, treating you guys well and it's, doing your catering you guys, 100%.
Okay. So. All right. Thank you.
Tom, thank you very much. You keep me up night wondering about converting those into Airbnbs.
We'll add you at the end. Mr. Golick.
Hello, Chris Golick at 11419 Scottsdale. Kurt, I have one question for you. What is the average rent going for in the city of Meadows? Just ballpark.
Ballpark between $2,000 and $2,100 would probably be average.
And you get a 3-bedroom house with a yard and a garage and all that? Okay. And then really I have a 2-part question for all the city council to kind of put us at ease. One, where do you currently stand if you had to vote today on this, for or against? And then secondly, whenever it does come time, if it does come to your table, will you give a firm commitment that you will vote for or against and not abstain from the vote?
There's no votes tonight, and therefore we really can't poll.
No, I can ask you, though. I can poll.
You can ask, but we really can't give you that answer under these conditions because it would bias what might go in front of planning and zoning in the future. And so because they have not asked for the true public hearing, they would love for us to answer that question because then they would know exactly how we feel. Unless, Nick, have you gotten any other feedback from city attorney? Can we poll council in a town hall?
Being in town hall. Law school. Of course. Oh, man.
Mike is
Sorry, Nick.
I think, I can say that it would not be uncommon for council members to express their opinions in a town hall setting. Whether or not you want to do so is a political decision.
And an individual.
I think I have my finger on the pulse.
So let's keep it on one topic. I mean,
I don't have an issue with it.
Well, and I'm going off of...
But I don't have a vote. I do have on my Meadows Marlins tie, though, so just letting you know.
So I guess the rest of council, are you willing to go where you stand right now, or would you like to hold that to the end of the meeting after all viewpoints are expressed? I feel that would be fair. Let us get through all the input rather than making that commitment before everyone has had their chance to speak.
Fair enough. My second part there, can I get a commitment, or can we get a commitment from each of you as city council that has a vote that you will vote for or against and not abstain from the vote?
Oh, there will be no abstaining.
Well, the reason why I'm going there is because I don't want it to be a tie and then the mayor's forced to vote.
Oh, no. The mayor would welcome the vote.
You can drive the bus next time, Mayor.
There's not going to be any abstaining. I had somebody try to do that once. That's just that people put up here to give an answer and to reflect the community and to participate in the community, and abstaining, they don't need to be up here.
Agreed. That's why we
the
voted
only
for you.
reason to me a person should abstain is if they've got a conflict of interest, like a financial interest within the decision.
Third question. Do any of y'all have a financial?
No.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for y'all.
Thank you, Chris.
Karen Hargraves, would you wish to speak?
Hi there, Karen Hargraves, 14-year resident here, and actually just upgraded from a patio home to a big old home on Meadowdale. And getting away from like all of the questions that everybody's been asking about real and stuff, I want to know more about you guys. Looking through all of the renderings that you've given us, they seem very disjointed from one to the next. I want to know how many projects you've worked on from beginning to end that have completed. What partnerships do you have with builders? What partnerships do you have with banks? Because if
Of course.
if this were something that were to come to fruition, how can we guarantee that you still have these partnerships in place and then you can actually get from point A to point B to the end? Because when you're looking at this rendering here, I see no parking. But when you're looking over here in your later pages, you've got 3 levels of parking. Where's your parking in here versus here? It's not very cohesive, and it doesn't bring a lot of comfort to someone like us who's really open to the idea. Because it's coming from somebody of a financial background, those are the things that we want to know. We want to know, how do we know that it's going to look like this? Because looking at the sides of it, it looks nothing like what our neighborhood looks like. Those are not our streets. Looking at, these big white blocks, it just seems not very complete of a thought to bring to us for something like this, for a serious consideration.
Of course. That's what we're here for your opinion. But as far as the parking goes, if you look at these pages, the first floor, the mezzanine floor, and the second floor, these are all parking,
but when you're looking
and they're
at
building.
this rendering up here, there's no reference to
Anything,
really the parking.
anything
That's
under
all
the
parking.
pool deck is parking, basically. You enter from this side of the project,
So it's going
and
to be
then
underground?
first, second, and then the one on the flat level. You see where the pool's staying, that's basically your second floor.
Because those look like apartments. They don't really look, it doesn't really look like a parking situation. It doesn't look like...
Apartment in the front. Apartments
Let's
are
keep
sitting in
the
the front,
chatter
so
down.
parking is inside, basically. It's surrounded with the apartments,
keep the
but
chatter
these
down.
spaces...
Those are parking spaces.
Parking spaces, yes.
Yeah,
but you're surrounded with apartment units.
Let me step in here. I had the same concern. The drawing that you're looking at is a representation of the way it could be scaled. It's not representing the actual build. They don't have that particular.
That's like when you're bringing something like this, like these, it looks like you're looking at one picture to the next that are all identical, but then it looks nothing like the rendering that's brought to us. That's kind of, you're sending a mixed message at that point. And I feel that, maybe bringing something that's more cohesive and more clear, would maybe ease some of those questions. So is this the apartment? So these are the parking. What's on the perimeter? Those are apartments?
Those are apartments, yes,
And
ma'am.
then you're going to have apartments on top of that, on top of that.
Correct.
So so the swimming pool's on top of the building?
Correct.
It's on top of the parking deck.
Parking deck, basically.
And Barbara, thank you very much for bringing that up. But this is strictly concept, as Maya was alluding to. So it's strictly a concept to get the project to let everybody know what they're going to try to do. I think it took him about 14 seconds to find out that this wasn't a technical drawing, and it upsets David. So,
but let's go back to the question: how long have you been in business? How many of these projects have you brought from concept to full? What management companies do you have lined up? What types of tenants are currently in the buildings that you already have? Those are questions that nobody's really thought, because everyone's like a hard no. I got that, but what can you bring to the table? Because I've heard nothing of the sort. All I've heard is apartments.
Barbara, are you asking who's going to manage
Karen?
it?
Karen.
I mean, Karen, are you asking who's going to manage it?
Yeah. Asking who's managing, have you
let's
lined up
cut it off
financing,
right
what
there.
programs do you have from beginning to end? Those are the questions.
Yeah, we got everything set basically, but like you want names right now? Okay.
I would like
So
to know who
we-
you've
we
partnered.
got-
Like, where have you built other properties?
We've done a lot of projects in Heights, inside the Afton Oaks. We completed a lot of projects in Afton Oaks. We've done a lot of townhomes and we've done many high-rises and mid-rises in Turkey, basically. So that's where our experience comes from.
In Turkey?
In Turkey. So we've done a lot of high-rises and mid-rises in Turkey. Over here, we've done nothing but single homes and patio homes, townhomes. This will be our first project, as far as the apartment goes.
Okay, so
But-
this will be your foray into this type of development. You've never done it before.
Not in this country, correct? Yes, ma'am.
That answers the question. That
Of course, but we're not
Nobody
here
would have thought
to
to ask.
invest 50 plus million with zero investment. I can assure you that.
50 plus million.
Yes.
This would cost 50 plus million
Yes,
with
ma'am.
zero investment.
No, without any experience.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm sorry for that.
But I want to ask Karen too. If she asks who's going to manage the property, I'd like to kind of hear the answer of that.
Of course, we're not that far yet. We haven't chose our candidates, so we're not that into the details right now. So I'll be honest, but it's going to be A
But if
plus. I
you're
can
gonna-
assure you, it's going to be because we're the one actually investing, right? So we want to make sure we're
Yeah.
doing the right investment. It's just not few townhomes we're going to build and say okay, let it be whatever it is down the road. We're going to be there.
Yeah,
I'm from
so
Houston.
you guys are
Yeah.
the investment company. You're going to find the builders,
Of course,
the contractors,
yes.
and the builders.
Yes.
So who do you have partners with building wise that could make this? Who do you have? Because
We have
you're
few candidates, but like I said, first having plans, getting approved and all that stuff. That's to us the next step.
okay.
So I didn't hear an answer that you have partnered with somebody in a project similar to that. Is that correct?
No, that is correct. No, we have not.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you. Thank
No
you very
problem.
much.
No problem.
Okay, the next name on the list, I can't quite read the first name, might be Troy Cummings.
I'll listen to the next person.
All right. Elena Mercado.
Hi, my name is Elena, and I've been in the neighborhood. This is going to be my third year, and I always wanted to move to Meadows Place. I used to always go by the stop signs and be like, "This is where I'm going to live."
Can you get a little closer?
We did buy a house in Alief, which we still have, but when we got the opportunity to buy here, we bought here, and because it's just a small city and just less congested. You can go to the park, and there's not that many people. You can go to the pool, there's not that many people. So kind of like everything is homes. So now I'm against it because now we're going to have so many more people. And they're not only going to use their facilities, they're also going to come to our town and use our facilities. And I don't know about how all the in and outs work, but I don't see how this will benefit the residents. I kind of heard something about taxes coming in from the apartments once they're built. I don't quite understand that, but how is that going to benefit the city as far as money-wise, where it's actually then going to benefit us? Because I kind of heard that our taxes are not going to go down by having something like this. But mainly to me, it's just kind of how would it benefit us? And just having the congestion of having more people in our town, because that's the whole reason I moved here, because it was like Meadows Place, very tiny, small, no apartments. So that's pretty much what I have.
1 square mile of wonderful.
Exactly.
So as
with
far-
4,000 and something residents, right? And now we're going to have a whole lot more that they're not, like I said, only going to use their facilities. They're going to use our things and also travel through our streets, not also West Airport.
Yeah. So the way the taxes work on any commercial structure like this is whatever value is appraised, they will pay the same tax rate that you do on your house. So obviously this would be fairly expensive building on the ground or buildings. And so that would generate, right now the estimate, it's a couple $100,000, maybe $250,000 in property taxes just to the city. On top of that, you would have the sales tax coming in from the businesses. Depending on the type of businesses, that might be $10,000 total. It could be $50,000 total.
Or 3,000.
Or 3,000. And so until you know what the businesses are and whether they are generating sales tax, you can't answer that question. Now, if we've talked about we need to add police, things like that, the extra taxes they paid versus the extra police we have to hire, there'd probably still be a net positive on sales tax or on property tax that they pay in versus what we pay out for extra things. But it's not going to be a huge delta where, we can lower your tax rate 10 cents because of this new facility.
Okay. I just think that it's just going to be too many people. Too many people. It's gonna be
All right.
Thank you for your comment.
I think we got you down as a no. How are the Astros doing?
Mr. Burge, would you like to speak?
Us. Oh, do.
Okay.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Billy Burge. He owns Ayrshire Corporation.
Well, Ayrshire owns me, and let me, by way of introduction, Ayrshire bought this land in 1973. It was 1,400 acres. It was all okra patch, and we've developed every square inch of it. So what we're
This is
seeing,
the developer of Meadows Place.
Yeah.
Meadows Place. And I did and let me be formal and say, Your Honor, and very respected counsel and dedicated staff, I want to thank you after all these many years. I'm 82, so I've outlived most everybody in this audience. But what I have attached to this handout, and it's an invitation. We're having a 1-year anniversary on the 20th of this month for our strip center. We want you to come. There's free coffee, free dental floss, free toothpaste, whatever you want. But more importantly, it speaks to the tenants we put in here as they respect and they love the neighborhood. I attached here an article on the back that I passed out to council and to staff and to the mayor, dated Houston Chronicle, April 24th, 1994, 30 years ago. And all the things that this article reflected in the Chronicle, which is said the Meadows is safe, it's secure, and it's affordable. And the proof in the pudding is 30 years later, it's all of those things. And that tells you, if you're in for the long term is the reason that the Meadows is a very respected place to be here. The mayor and the council and the staff, everybody here, they have one reason, and they have the bedrock of any development. 1,400 acres are the residents, and they make it and they break it. And so I attached this tonight for a reason, not knowing much about the proposed development. We're for development. We're for any good neighbors. We want to be good neighbors. We used to own the 7 or 8 acres that are in subject to discussion tonight, and there's a lot of validity in what the residents are saying. They're here for a reason. And when we started this project out, the First Colony was in trouble. It went into foreclosure, and they ran Hines off, and they hired Ayrshire to come out of there, and we did the first 1,000 acres at Highway 6. We did Settlers Park, Williams Grant, and one other subdivision there. But the reason they did it is they were trying to get our builders to come down there, and we said, no, because they had to put a levee in there because that 7,000 acres was in the floodplain. So our builders wouldn't go. Anyway, we convinced them to go on overtime. Obviously, it's been a fantastic development. But this is uniquely different than First Colony. This is a pocket. This is special. This is like West University or Southside Place. Those of us who grew up here, we know what that means to a little area. And so to the developer and to everybody here, what you're seeing is a history of this area, and they're good people. They're really good people, and they have all respect for you all, and I do too. It's the business is tough, but the people come first, and they're your customers, and so what you're hearing a lot of their feelings on this, and so Mayor, I just want to say I'm not here for comic relief. I'd like to be, but I'm here to tell you is to applaud once again the council and staff, for all of you all, for your dedication to what the Meadows is all about. And I just wish the best when we hope you'll come to our open house 1 year and get the free deal. And I'll answer any questions if you want to know the history. Let me tell you an interesting thing of the history of the Meadows. We were developing 2,000 acres in Dallas, LBJ Freeway and Centerville Road out in Garland, Mesquite. And there was another competing subdivision down on the other side, out 45 going north, called the Meadows. And so I went out there, and the Meadows is not, the name the Meadows is not the Meadows like we think of the Meadows. In 1824, there was a family called the Meadows from Cardiel, Georgia, and they started in the business of medical business and things like that. And then they moved to Texas, and they moved to Dallas in 1934. And they got in the oil business, and they made a lot of money, kind of like the Beverly Hillbillies. And as a result, the Meadows Foundation, if you look at Meadows Foundation right now, they're the largest one of the largest single private medical funds that fund stuff all over this country. And that's where the property where it is was the Meadows family. And so we took it. So anyway, so you can also take your heritage back to the medical family of the Meadows Foundation, which is in Dallas. So I looked that up so we'd have a little, make your longevity go back to 1820s. So if you want to stress the deal. So anyway, I'd like to introduce my friend Francisco. Francisco, would you stand up? Friend shows by right here, man. If you can't find me, I used to tell everybody we were in the phone book, but that doesn't matter anymore, or the yellow pages. But if you call him if you need to know any question about our little strip center, we'll help finish out in phase 2 here in the next year, 7,000 square feet. We think we have some good leads on additional medical, and if we can be of any assistance, Mayor. Once again, I applaud everybody that's here tonight and in the attitude, and more important, the spirit and the passion for this city. Thank you.
Well, Billy, thank you very much. I know you're here because your property is right next to the property in question, and you want to see what's going on too. Billy Birch.
Deborah Harvey.
Hello, I'm Debbie Harvey. I've lived in the Meadows for 50 years, and so it's obviously going to be my home for life, or my place for life. I have just some questions. I'm a retired teacher, and the school that I was at, I watched it be the great neighborhood, then apartments moved in, and then I was at that campus for 22 years, and I watched the apartments get taken over and go downhill, which then impacted the classrooms with the transitional students. And I'm looking through this, and I don't see anything like it's geared towards millennials. So my question is it families where children are going to also be, or is it just going to be more of an adult-type complex?
According to the studies, actually, it's more like an adult type of complex. It shows, it's got a lot less, children than a multifamily. But again, we can't predict.
Okay, and then my question would be also then for that did have children in it. I know being a teacher and my husband being in charge of getting crossing guards, that it's hard to get crossing guards for the district. So there would have to be another crossing guard, somehow get those children across the road. So I was wondering about that. And he's also in charge of hiring police officers for the district, and they're few and, they're hard to get. So I appreciate the saying that we'd be able to increase the police department by 2 officers, but they're hard to get officers. There's still openings like everywhere because no one wants to be a police officer. So those are just my questions. Oh, and I'm wondering about like I don't know enough about Section 8 and Section, I think it's 42 housing. So how does that play into
A plus is more like a luxury high end. So,
well, because I'm asking that because my niece lived in a luxury apartment complex downtown Houston, and somebody with Section, I don't know, it was 8 or 42, whatever, moved in next to her, and he turned out he robbed people on that floor. So, because he was, you know, he was in there, so she ended up having to move out, and they even had a concierge at the bottom floor. So, those are just my concerns.
Definitely, we took those consideration as far as the background check, credit check. So we want to make sure that we protect our neighbors, we protect our friends here. So that's definitely something that we're looking into.
Okay.
And just to clarify, because I think that's a concern, most of these are one-bedroom apartments.
Correct.
And so they would be probably not aimed at families, which is your concern.
Joe DeBruin.
Good evening, folks. Welcome and thank you for being here,
No,
Council,
thank you.
Mayor. I'm Joe DeBruin. I live at
Get closer to the mic.
Forgive me. I live at 11402 Brighton Lane here in Section 1, and I've been here for about 27 years. It was supposed to be my starter home, and now it's my retirement home. So it is actually I've just found it a wonder to live here, and just I can't express how people are envious of me living in Meadows and everything, talk about it. And I just want to welcome you folks here. And I just wanted to say, with the folks coming in, we can see a 20% jump in residency in our city, in our little fair city. And we pride ourselves on the way we run our city government, and our taxes come, sometimes taxes are higher or lower, that I know of. I'm not exactly sure the dollar amounts, but the city does a fantastic job of making ends meet. And if we bring in 20% more folks, I'm just wondering if our infrastructure would be challenged to a point where we couldn't serve that apartment over there. We have code enforcement. We have, of course, our police, and of course, our bottom line would be what each one of us pays in taxes every year. Would our taxes go up to support a development over there with the police department, with different, more city services? Because our city serves us, but of course it's going to be, I say 20% is a high number, but that's a lot of folks coming in that we have to, protect, enforce our codes, enforce our city laws on. So that was just my question, but I'm impressed and I appreciate y'all being here. And I'm probably mirrored a lot of things that have already been said tonight, but I just wanted to get up and say thank you.
I'll address the utility question again. Obviously, the facilities for the city were developed anticipating that this site would be fully utilized. And the capacity analysis was done when we were talking about a 9-story medical hospital building going here. That would have used more water than these apartments, so the water and sewer services are available for whatever goes here. Like if we'd have gotten the 9-story hospital, the 7-story office complex, plus the other medical facilities that were supposed to go here, it would have had a much higher impact on utilities. So you can be rest assured we can serve it for utilities and things like that. We can serve it with traffic. We'd have to address possibly the number of lanes on airport. We can hire the number of police. So the city can handle whatever goes here. It's just a question of whether this is the right fit for the city or not. Emily, you're next on the list.
Emily Merkley, 11702 Scottsdale Drive. I live on the corner of the roundabouts, one of the roundabouts, and last time I was here was to say I didn't want a roundabout, and I've changed my mind. So I feel like sometimes it's hard when there's something new, like we can be just pushing back because it's uncomfortable. And I like hearing when people are open to it because we don't know what this is going to look like. When you're completed with them, are you going to stay the owner or are you going to sell them?
No,
Okay.
we're going to stay in.
Okay. Let's see. And then
Did somebody ask about lease length, turnover?
Nope. But that's something that we looked into. We're not definitely into short-term leasing or anything like that because it totally makes no sense as far as the business goes. No Airbnb whatsoever. We're not in Laguna Beach, So definitely, I mean, the length, based on our study, it'll be, year and a half to 2 minimum in average.
Okay.
So.
And then are there resident limits per unit?
Oh, definitely.
So in a one-bedroom unit, how many people can live there?
2, 3. We're thinking, but just like.
How do you enforce that?
Contracts.
Okay. And then you'll police it?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people. It looks like a lot of people are living here.
There's the concierge, all that services. Definitely. We can gauge that.
Okay. There was a concern about people coming to the pool and the parks, and I'm not that concerned about it because people are homebodies. I can't get people to come out. But is it going to be that they use our pool also?
They are members of this community and would be welcome at
Right.
Okay. So they can buy a wristband.
The pool is public, so we can't keep anybody out. Now they have their own pool.
Right.
So,
Can we go to their pool?
No. That's a good question.
Okay, let me see.
If invited.
Yeah. The 30,000 cars on airport, that's me trying to get my 5 kids to their activities. So sorry. And I feel like this could go either way, but I love a good underdog, so I'm going to say that I'm for it.
All right. Cindy.
I kind of wanted to know if you had anything to do with
Hold on, let me start the
projects.
stopwatch again. Okay,
Huh?
go ahead.
You're already stopping me? I just started.
No, I said, hold on, let me start the stopwatch.
Oh, started. Okay.
Yeah. Go.
Yeah, did you guys have, they just got through building this big community. Remember they talked to us about the really expensive condos and how they're going to have little shops everywhere. It's going to look just like First Colony. I mean, where they've got City Hall and all that. All those are condos too, with little buildings in there. But they're not building it in the middle of a neighborhood. That is built off to itself, and the one at First Colony, Sugarland, it's built off to itself. So I don't think I have a real good mix on how this is really gonna happen. Because I'm watching, and since they said we were gonna do this, I went driving and looking. And I did see a lot of extra people. So we know that's gonna happen here. I mean, there's no way you can say no. It is. But we do have good people.
Cindy, where are you talking about?
The question would be all that right back behind City Hall in Sugarland. Those are all upscale condos. Mm-hmm. And they have little shops underneath them where people can shop. But they don't have much parking. So they're taking all the parking, where the parking garage is. Yep. That's where half of them have to
across the streets, the La Madeleine parking lot, all that stuff.
So I mean, everybody's concerned. I think that it's legitimate. I've been here for almost 43 years this year. So with 43 years, I've raised all my kids, and they did not move back. Dang it. I thought they would. But, we're not done yet. So they'll be back. But what are they coming back to? This is what they know. This is their home. So everybody better be really sure when you open up to that many people. Because we've had, right now, are y'all going to be pet friendly?
Definitely.
Because we have had a horrible time with dogs and cats. So I'm sorry, but
we're
really not 100% for pet friendly. Okay, I'm just saying that you had also started your presentation with, we're going to be able to do all kinds of things over here that will benefit Meadows Place. Never going to happen. If I paid that much money for a condo, don't come think you're going to spend Friday night with me. Not with all your children and your band. And we have a perfect place for that. We're good. I think that Meadows has really done well. We've been put on the map. But again, we do have a problem with pets that we're just now getting on top of. So if we're going to have a lot more pets and then a lot more people and a lot more cars, and we don't even have a picture of what it's going to look like, I'm a no. So until we get the next report. Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Chuck, do you wish to speak? Is Chuck still here? Pam Huddle?
I'm Pam Huddle. I live at 11803 Meadowdale. I'm officially undecided. But I do have a few questions, and many of them have been answered or reasonably well addressed. But two questions that I have concern the retail space. First of all, we have a lot of retail space in Meadows that seems rather underutilized. So what makes us think that we would be able to attract some businesses that would actually stay and that people would want to use? So that is one significant issue. I mean, I would like to see our current businesses get filled up before we get new ones. Personally, I don't know how realistic that is, but I would like to see what we have get used. And then second, just it's going along with what kind of, we love our neighborhood. We all love the Meadows. What kind of person wants to pay $2,500 plus a month to live by themselves in an apartment? And is there going to be community? Will they just be their own little world, or we'll be our own separate world and we're all okay with that? Or will we mix together? Will we know each other, like each other, or just be so different economically and with our interests that there's not really any overlap? So that's like, what will it do to our community feel? The other long-term interest, I appreciate that the city would have guarantees about the thing getting built. I mean, if they stop doing it according to contract, we could be stuck with a monstrosity that's never getting completed. So that is a possible issue. But once it goes in, will there be any kind of guarantee for maintenance and upkeep and how to keep it nice over a very long term, not just a year or two? I don't assume that the city would be able to keep any kind of control over that, but I would want some sort of guarantee. And I guess also just, I don't know who's going to want to live. Will upscale rent payers want to live in the Meadows? I mean, we're the affordable city. It just seems like an odd place. Like, is there something upscale that we don't know about that's going to make people want to live here? I just don't know. It seems odd to me. So those are just my questions.
No, great questions. To answer to your second question, as far as the community and our community and their community, I live in Sugar Land now. I'm moving to Memorial area. So city center, town center, both great. I live in a house with my 2 children, but I love going and mingling there, just having dinner, lunch, having my kids run around. So wouldn't you folks, in my opinion, I think you guys would love it. My opinion. I mean, just me. So wouldn't you like to see something like this where you can take your husband, children out to go hang out, have a coffee, have a dinner? I mean, how many of those you think you have around? And as far as the businesses goes, we need more doors here. 275 doors will generate more business, basically. People coming in and out. I mean, we have some commitments from anchors, but we have to give them some commitments as well as far as, good rents and stuff for them to come in. So once you bring those anchors in, I think we can solve that problem. But, if you want more retail space here, if you want to see more retail, but not this, for example, without, doors, that's not possible.
Okay. Thank you.
Rick, did you want to address what can the city do to maintain it?
I mean, it'd be subject to code enforcement, just like the homes are, as well as yearly fire marshal inspections, and then also the food services, if they had food services, would be inspected once a year as well. Jennifer, and I think it starts with an N, Nertand or something like that. Think of it.
It's Nentwick. Most of y'all would probably know me if you've lived here all your life as Jennifer Hughes. I have been here my entire life. I've got a house out here now. I have been here since Sue Troyan started the city with my father in 1984 when it was incorporated as the first police chief. I've watched the city at its lows and I've watched it at its highs. I chose to come back and raise my family here because of what Meadows meant to me. Growing up, it didn't matter whose kids we were. Everybody out here were our parents. We couldn't run loose without someone picking up the phone and making a phone call. And by the time we got home, our parents knew everything we did. Trust me. Many of nights I was in trouble for wrapping houses with birthday parties and had no clue that my father had the police down the street watching me the entire time. But I agree. Things like this are built out in Sugar Land where there's commercial property. They never get put next to residential areas. Because our kids now, on our Facebook page we have for Meadows Place, What's Happening, we're all on there. Our kids do something wrong, all the parents are coming together, and we take care of the kids. You bring something like this in, that's not going to happen anymore. Our kids are running loose now. What happens when their friends live in those little apartments over there, and you don't know that? Your kids look at you and go, "Oh, I'm going to such and such's house." We all just say okay because we know how safe our city is. Not anymore. We already have A-Leaf impeding onto us. I mean, it's going to happen. The other day, I know HPD had a chase, and it came into Meadows. I believe it came down Scottsdale. So we already know the outside is impeding in. All you're doing by doing something like this is inviting the rest of that to come in with it. I understand the department is short on officers. I get that. Every department is short. I'm an officer myself in Montgomery County. Every department is short because no one wants to be us anymore. I get that. Our officers do the best that they can out here. But you bring in something like this, no matter if you have 24/7 security or not, because someone said it best, all it is a rent-a-cop. They can't do anything until one of us in uniform gets there to take care of it. So you're not, in my opinion, providing anything other than a car sitting in a parking lot with a little blue light on with someone that's going to jump out and say, "Stop, I have to call 911. So I don't see how security 24/7 is going to keep these people safe, because if we've got burglaries and robberies and everything else going on now between CVS, Walgreens, and everywhere else, you bring in more businesses, our officers are going to be even more strapped dealing with the businesses and what's going on there, and they won't be able to respond to the residents like they're supposed to.
We're talking about a few businesses. How many businesses are we talking about?
Well, anywhere from 5 to 7.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
only
to
20,000
put
square
that in
foot.
perspective, this isn't a First Colony Mall, and depending on what businesses and what restaurants, et cetera, it could be 5 to 7. So if we hire in a couple more officers, we can handle that, in my opinion.
Well, a couple of more officers is what you need now to handle what you have now. That's why you're hiring. So you don't need just 2 more officers. If you bring in something like this, you're going to need like 4.
And we understand that, and we've got that. And if they come, they said it's going to take them 3 to 4 years, we'll be trying to hire before they get built. Being a cop and getting cops right now is tough business.
Oh, it is. Trust me. No one wants to be us. No one's going to sign the dotted line to be the human shield to take the bullet. Trust me.
So I appreciate your comments. I don't know of too many people that are going to have a one-bedroom apartment that's going to have 3 kids, though. I don't expect a big child population there. Am I wrong on that?
Correct. No, study shows 1.2 per household, person.
Okay.
So
But
the ratio
you're right,
is very
they
low.
get up in there or they could get lost. But I appreciate it. Thank you very much for getting up and saying
Thank you, man.
something.
Kristen Mahand.
Hi, Kristen Mahan. I live on 12115 Sturdivant Court. You cannot drive through. It's a cul-de-sac. Many people get lost there. A lot of things that I thought about saying that I didn't plan on saying but decided to say because I'm actually one of the only teachers here from Meadows Elementary today have to do with the school and what the questions that are being asked about your 1.5 people living in a house. We border some lower economic areas. Alief was mentioned, which is another school district, Stafford, ISD, and families want their kids to go to a good school. You mentioned earlier that this would be the heartbeat of the community. I picked up on that language. You may or may not know that we kind of already have one, and it's the school, and we worked really hard to save that a long time ago.
It is the heartbeat of our community.
And I have a lot of teachers who talk to me about this, and some of them are off vacationing and doing summer, so they couldn't be here. But one of the main teacher concern is that families double up. I've been in education for 15 years, and that is something that does happen. So I would encourage you and council to not be naive to the fact that even though studies say it won't happen, for the demographic of people that live around our neighborhood, it does happen. I had a student this year who was living with his cousin, and it was multiple families living in a house. And so if it can happen there, it can happen in apartments that have 3 bedrooms. Because think about putting 2 bunk beds in one room. So my concerns are those. My questions and challenge to you is to build a relationship with the school district, since you do have a school very close, in doing this study of what you think you might want to build here. And to the council, before you really approve anything here, if it has any sort of housing involved in it, continue your relationship with the school district and ask. A lot of people brought up the city resources like water, sewer, electric, but think about the school's resources. Currently, Meadows has positions that have been cut because of the economic status of our school district. If you put a 1-bedroom house that you say can have mom, dad, and another child sleeping on a pull-out couch, that's another kid in my seat. But I've had positions cut. So that's just something to consider. And another question for council, not related to the school, is an issue of tax abatement. I don't know if that's something that our city has and like a company can apply for. A long time ago, my mom was on council in a small town of Madisonville, and she was on council when a giant Buc-ee's came into town. And everyone thought that was going to be so great, but they had like a 10-year abatement on the taxes. So they didn't start generating revenue. Is that something your company is going to apply for?
No, ma'am.
Okay, great.
No, ma'am.
I am not aware
we
that...
weren't offered, and I'm sure, he's not willing.
I am not aware that Meadows Place has ever approved any abatements within the city, even when it was Sam's Club. Right?
Well, you've got about 50, 60 years of EDC experience right over here on that first row, and I can't remember it either. I'm not as old as those guys, but okay. You're correct, Rick.
So Meadows Place has never been interested in abatements.
Great. Good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
If Buc-ee's came, I would be.
Connie Johnson. Mr. Henley. And we've got 6 more people on the list after Mr. Terry. 3 minutes, right,
Okay,
Charlie?
Yep, I got him. On your mark.
Terry Henley, 12203 Austin Drive. I've sat through all the mayors of this city, Sue Troyan and all of them, council 30-plus years. Jim McDonald and I started the EDC, and the only 2 of us is still on EDC is Bob and myself. So we're aware of what's happened in this city and what we would like to see. And I do have a couple of questions for our developer here. You list all of the units as 1 plus 1, 2 plus 1, 3 plus 1. Are they all one bathroom in every unit?
Oh, no.
That's not what that means?
No, the bathroom, 3 plus 1? Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
3 plus 1 is one bathroom for 3
yes.
bedrooms.
Yes.
So they're all 1 bathroom per unit. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just a question.
Of course.
Have you considered high-rise luxury condos? I have proposed that a number of times in EDC over the years, not only for that development out there, and we thought Fairfield was the right way to go with the medical complex and all the stuff he was going to do. It was perfect, I thought. And of course, he ran out of money and went bankrupt. So that was an issue. And we don't know how far this is going to go. We hope it'll go if it has the right mix of retail. In my opinion, we got to have retail and additional sales tax.
Of course.
And why is it not being considered a luxury condo versus just an apartment? It's a question to you.
Of course, no, I understand. I mean, we thought about it cost-wise and then demand-wise. I mean, we would probably, and plus the concerns the community have, I mean, we knew the traffic would be, one of their concern.
Right.
Security would be another one.
Right.
So we thought bringing more people, would not make, our people here happy.
But if people have ownership in a unit, it will be better taken care of, and the quality of the people that move in may be better, okay, if they own it. And I understand townhomes, can't be, multi-story, it's a little problem. Condos would be ideal, I would think. High-rise condos that are owner-occupied, not necessarily owner-occupied, that's what you would want, but that doesn't always happen. We don't have all owner-occupied in the homes here in Meadows Place, and there will be rental units, and I understand that. But I think if it has the right mix of the retail, enough to generate some tax revenues, and what you're proposing, looking at condos, I still think that would be the way to go. Okay? And
So,
even
Terry, if I could interrupt.
Yes, sir.
Because you've made some good points on this. As it sits right now, their proposal is apartments.
Correct.
Are you for that or against it?
In its current form, without additional retail
Well, they're
spaces,
proposing
they've got
retail.
some, but I don't think it's enough. So in its current proposed, format, the answer would probably be no.
Okay, would probably be.
Yeah. So but again, if you look at the ownership and condos, high-end condos and a little more retail space, I think it'd be perfect for that place. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
That's all I
you,
got.
Terry.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Judith Jordan?
You sure?
Sylvia Romano? I saw her. Ms. Romano? Oh, there he is.
Good evening. My name is Silverio Romano. I live in 11923 Bloomington Lane, very close to here. Well, I have a lot of questions, but most of them have been kind of answered. Just one little confirmation. So we're talking about 275 units to be rented?
Correct.
Okay. No intention on selling anything of that?
Correct.
So basically, right now, after hearing all of that, is more to you, which is to consider, as I was going through the pamphlets and everything online, it seems that all of this is completely on the idea stage, that we don't really completely can guarantee anything. So I hope that when all the committees meet, they start trying to find more concrete answers, because we will have impacts on all the utilities, water, electricity, traffic, sewer. We probably will need to upgrade West Airport or try to see, because this is something that is going to be on the project for 3 to 5 years. Police need to be updated. Doesn't seem to be a real business proposal yet, which go to the stability of the business. In 5 years, are they going to still be able to hold? Because they are not planning on managing the property, they're planning to have somebody else to do it. So in 5 years, they could just simply sell it because they cannot be conditions. Also, since this company is from another place, another country, This is the first investment. They may have more expectation than reality. Well, all of that to be considered on when you do evaluations to be sure that we can have guarantees and preventing that everything is going to go on plan, not now on 5 years, but in 20. Because we can see all these apartment complexes in Houston that they are in bad condition, and by that time we can be dealing with 2 or 3 other owners that have been in the process. That is not going to impact me, and as our neighbor said, we are not going to be here by that time. So we need to think carefully, not on us, not on today, but what is going to be happening for the next generation. The school is going to be impacted, and the district is not able to handle these kind of situations, and I have been in for them for more than a decade, 15 years. I retired from the teaching, so I can tell you that whatever happens, the school is going to be in a big bundle. But also at the same time, I don't see many children because these units are going to be one unit, which means I assume that you're going to have some kind of maximum number of occupants per unit. And that should not have 3 people living in a 1-bedroom apartment and 1 bathroom. And I don't know how they're going to do with 3 units and 1 bathroom, because it's kind of we have 2 and we already have trouble when we were the family of 4. So that's something that I will, but since this is in the planning stage, you can really change everything and you can do completely a lot of modifications on everything, because these pictures are nice, but they're not, they're artistic pictures, they're not real pictures, what really is going to be happening. So right now, after hearing that summarizing, is the ball is in your side to be sure that you have all the information and that all contracts are done in a way that benefit everybody. But we need to be sure that we understand that this society changed a lot, and many companies can change their mind and do something different, as happened with the car company behind my house, which now changed and is an empty parking lot. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
All right. Mary Tomaluk? Mary? Nicholas Romero? Lynn Rosenberg Johnson?
Thank you, Ms. Johnson, for being here and for staying so long.
I haven't gone home from work yet. It was important enough to me to come here and not go home from work. My husband and I have been Meadows Place residents since 1990. We've raised our family here. We live at 11922 Brook Meadows Lane. I speak to you as a resident, I speak to you as a registered architect, and I speak to you as a builder. Mostly I speak to you tonight as a concerned resident. I truly think that this is not a good fit for us. As much as I am in favor of development and growth, I'm in favor of smart growth. That's the right fit. I truly believe that this development is better for the residents of the apartments than it is for the residents in our neighborhood. The pro forma that you need to make your development be financially viable is not in alignment with the increased population that is palatable to our existing Meadows Place residents. That's my opinion. I might be wrong, but that's my opinion. I believe that you have placed more focus on the internal courtyard spaces of your development and not so much on the external areas that we see. We are your neighbors. It looks a lot like the grid to me, our new neighbor, where it feels like we would be getting the backdoor treatment. That's me, the architect. I really don't think it's in our best interest. I truly believe that the apartment dwellers will derive a better benefit from it than we as your neighborhood residents. But I do have a couple of questions. Just to make sure I understand it correctly. You have 275 units. What's your anticipated population?
About 450.
Okay. It looks like 2 stories of parking garage, a mezzanine level that's got some ring of apartments on it, so a total of about 5 stories. Are you looking at about 55 feet tall? Kind of getting a picture where you are. That mass and that footprint, I truly don't think are a good neighbor for us, and I don't think the increased population is good for the small town feel that has kept my family here. We never intended to stay this long. Economically, we could be other places, but we like this small town feel. I hate to say it, Mayor Jessup, but I'm really speaking your Kool-Aid here. We like walking to the park. My husband runs, we swim, we walk, we feel safe here, and we want to continue to feel safe here. I just don't think you're the right fit for us.
No, I appreciate it. I really do.
All right. That is the last speaker we have signed up. We do have, Kelly's got some questions, as I'm sure the rest of council does. Do we have anybody else in the audience that would like to come speak?
Nathan Mahan, I live at 12115 Sturdivant. We've been in the neighborhood about 7, almost 8 years. I just did a little research on my iPhone. I could rent an apartment at the Grid, 2-bedroom, 900 square feet for around $2,000. Why would I come down the street and rent an apartment for $2,500 when I'm getting less square footage and less amenities, honestly, than the Grid has?
It's actually going to be more amenities than the Grid has as far as, what we're working on. But, I don't think that's our subject here right now. I just want to make sure that I think it's going to be much better than the Grid has. I can assure you that.
Does anybody else from the audience? Scott?
Scott Holland, 1226 Hogard. Chris texted me to remind you guys about the poll.
We're not done with the speakers yet.
Okay, fair enough. But he wanted me to. And I guess since I already came up here, my only question is, how many people will the
450 people.
Okay, so that'll bring us over 5,000 easily. Just have to ask it. If we get over the 5,000, will home rule become an interest of the city again?
I don't know that we've even talked about it, Scott. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sharon?
Sharon Leal. I live on Meadowdale. And I want to say thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
And the development of what you showed is very beautiful. I will say that, even though your pictures and everything are not your own. I have lived in the city most of my life, in Houston, from Clear Lake to, all the way down to Meadows Place. So from one end to the other, I still work in the Galleria area, so I'm very familiar with these concepts. And they look really nice starting off, and I know a lot of people have already said this, but after a time goes by, 10 plus years, they change dramatically. They do get sold out. They do get other things happen, and they don't stay as nice. And that does impact the area. So, and I see it where I'm at, where a lot of them looked very nice, and then you can see how they change management and how everything looks after a period of time, and it affects the area. One of my main concerns was of course, the traffic. My main thing when I moved back towards this area, because I used to live in Park Glen, which was literally half a block from Meadows Place. And I could throw a rock and I'd be in Meadows Place, and because I was on Radford Lane. And I bought that house when I was 24 because I didn't want to pay rent. So I bought a house. And went back to the city, came back again when I had my son to raise him here. And, I enjoy the way the city is, the feel, the whole bit. And I truly feel that this is just going to make it too congested. It's hard enough to get out of the neighborhood from West Airport to even, it feels like you're playing chicken to get across the road. My son is a new driver, a new voter, and, it's hard for him to get out. He'll go through Derry, Ashford, or Kirkwood to get out of the neighborhood, and with the extra traffic, that's not going to help. And one question I had for you, because you kind of seem to contradict a couple different times, and I get that it's not a completed concept yet, but you said it was just one bedroom apartments.
Generally. Yeah, we have unit counts there.
So I do see that you have some that would be 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
so there would be more
course,
more bedrooms. And obviously one restroom is unrealistic.
Of course.
So that's just for the brochure. Okay. Because it kind of went back and forth. You just kind of seemed to be saying yes to everything. So I was just kind of getting a little clarity on that.
Of course.
Again, it's a nice concept, but I think it would be better across the freeway over into that new facility where it's more retail space, restaurants, and different stuff where they can have walking distance, not necessarily for a neighborhood. So obviously, if you know me, you know it's a no. And but a better concept, and I am of the in between if it was something that they could own versus rent.
Yeah, we appreciate.
Thank you. Oh, and Chris did message me as well. He would like
about the poll.
We'll come back to that. Anyone else from the audience?
How you doing? I'm AJ Ortiz. Lived here, 2000. I live over in Meadow Hollow. It's been mentioned, and a lot of things have been danced around and thrown at you. I get it. Yes, we would prefer to see these units be individually owned. However, it's been mentioned our empty retail space. And there's quite a bit here. And I understand that you're going to bring in some development, but living here for as long as I've lived here, I've seen a lot of businesses come and go, and they don't last. And I guess our biggest concern is for this council to take in consideration with the failed and retail space that we've had and the lack of success that I've seen in 20 some odd years. What's going to be different about what you're bringing?
Bringing 275 plus doors, but I definitely agree with you on as far as the retail space goes. We talked about this before too. We were the one asked for less square footage of retail space. We agree the retail space is not going to work. I stressed about it before. I said if I was a consumer, I'd rather go to Grid and go eat there than drive down the neighborhood, right? I mean, let's just all agree. If I'm going to shop, I'd rather agree on Southwest Freeway than go into the neighborhood. But bringing 275 units plus our community, we need a little bit of a retail space. I think 20,000, not too much, but, we have to bring an anchor. That's going to solve the problem. And bringing an anchor is we're willing to give in as far as the 1 year very good rates, rent and stuff to see if we can bring somebody solid in, and I think that will bring some crowd. That's our game plan.
And I understand, and that's all.
And that's part of the mix.
But, however, like I said, living here 20 plus years, seeing the retail struggle.
Of course.
Got a lot of empty space all around, and I get it. However, the draw here is it is a community, family oriented, place you want to call home, and then we've got a lot of single units. You're
correct. Yep,
counting
absolutely.
A lot of single units.
We've seen a lot.
Don't see a lot of millennials or any of these young professionals wanting to come and live here when there's limited retail in your facility, limited retail around here, and they have to go somewhere else. And like, it's been mentioned, it would be preferable that these were individually owned. However, for you guys, with our failure with retail, why are we inviting more failed retail?
You to clarify that for me for just a bit.
Living here as long as I've seen next to Walgreens, many shops come and go. We've got the strip here, many shops come and go, restaurants.
And just an FYI, and I understand, I think what you're saying, that strip center's full.
No, I understand.
It has been for a number of years.
I understand.
The strip center behind us in Adobe, that is full or committed. And I'm trying to work with them right now to get the state representative an office space, and we can't get it. I mean, so because it's full. We do have a less than aggressive owner, however you want to put it, up on there by the Shell station. And,
I understand.
You know, they've actually, they're pretty full. But one of the things I want to point out is that we have an issue now where, and everybody's griped about it, about having to put up with the traffic. Well, you mentioned you've been here 20 years.
Traffic's inevitable. It doesn't matter where you live, you're going to deal with traffic.
I want to tell you,
you
the
might as well get used
population
to
of
it.
Fort Bend County was 225,421 in 20 years ago, and it's now 858,527. So that's a jump of over 600,000 people. Seems to me they're all driving down the airport, but
no, I mean, and that's legitimate because, I mean, traffic's inevitable. I mean, it's not just we're growing and we're trying to stop growing. It's inevitable. Traffic's going to happen whether these apartments come or not. They are going to go up and down airport as they continue to build around us.
But that even makes our location even more valuable to get the heck out of here now. Sometimes I screw up and go down the wrong street and get stuck trying to get out on the airport and go, why did I come this way? But it's it's
just
a factor that we all need to consider.
And I understand it's the retail
your biggest
aspect.
concern?
Sir?
What's your biggest concern?
It's just our retail and the failure and the turnover. I get it. They're full. However, there is a lot of turnover. You have to admit that. There's tons of turnover. And you do a very good job of getting things in and out of there. However, as mentioned, we tried to get HEB, but this was not a draw for HEB.
No.
And that's a long shot. Anyway, however, I don't know. As apartments, just the word apartments, yes, no. I mean, that's a hard no. However, it's just
Barbara,
what are we
thank
going to
you.
draw? What's going to be the appeal for these shops to be a success? And then now we put it back on the city, struggling to keep them full. And that's just.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
And just for the audience, they actually brought a much different concept to us to start with that had much less green space, much less retail, and the city wasn't really interested in that concept. Terry? I just want to go home, Terry.
No, I understand from a developer what you're trying to do, and the highest and best use because of the cost of land. You've got to put something up like that, or maybe a little more retail space and ownership, condos, maybe even 7 or 8 stories rather than 4 stories. Have enough condos, and definitely if they're more than a 1 bedroom, you go to 2 bathrooms per. You know, you got to have some more bathrooms, okay?
Absolutely. We'll definitely consider
All right,
those.
but I'm just saying, look at it from that standpoint. I think it's prime. I think you're going in the right direction, and if you can get the right mix, I'll make sure the city supports you, okay?
Okay. That's definitely one of your opinion. That's why we're here.
So, Terry, you were against it before. Are you for it now?
If we tweak it up a
I
little bit,
said
it's
I had
fine.
some reservations, okay? And I said it needed more retail space, and I'm still in favor of ownership, okay? Those two things.
As presented.
As presented right now, the way it is, no.
Okay.
Okay?
Just clarify.
We're talking about some changes. Okay.
All right. At this point, I think I'm going to open it up to council members. Do any council members have any specific questions they wish to ask?
Okay. I've had a couple of residents text me while this is going, they're watching and everything. Yeah, hi. One of the concerns is this happened over in Pecan Grove. They put in some really nice apartments over there on the golf course, high end, and it went to Section 8 housing, and it went kapooey down the shash. Okay? What can y'all do to guarantee, or can y'all guarantee it? I mean, I don't want Section 8 housing coming to these apartments and all. I used to live over on West Belfort and Gessner. It was high end, no specials. When the owner sold it, we had get a free month's rent or no deposit, and that crowd came in, and the apartments went down really quick and all. And I like this neighborhood hometown feeling we have here. Okay, I grew up out in Sharpstown, then went to Memorial, Bunker Hill Village, which is one of the top 10 neighborhoods in the United States and all for income and everything, and all of it was the same. We had we could go all over Bunker Hill Village and not worry because parents were watching. My kids ran amok in the meadows, but I knew about it because everybody was watching, and I got the phone calls. They seemed to turn out pretty good. They weren't the lead-off story on the 10 o'clock news too often, and I want to keep that same feeling here. What can y'all do to guarantee no Section 8 housing? Is there anything? I mean,
as far as legally, I have no idea. I didn't even know how Section 8, works. Basically,
they're the
we're not
ones
interested.
Sitting by the pool in the daytime.
Yeah, we're definitely not interested. I mean, we're not in that business, so.
Yeah, okay. And then also, I believe in ownership. People take pride in ownership. We used to have Westbury Square. That would be something I'd be more inclined to. The retail pay stuff on the bottom, and they had these quirky condo above them, but it was like old European flavor because they were all different on the outside and everything. And I'll look them up. It's not there anymore. There's a Home Depot, but we used to go there all the time in the 70s and 80s and walk around, go to the ice cream parlor, go to the restaurants.
Came in Westbury Square
and went down. Yeah, but I mean, it was still some place people enjoyed walking over there.
Because nobody could spell Rumpelheimers.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right.
Oh. Yeah, got a couple questions. You had mentioned some numbers with parking. How many parking spaces would you have in the garage, and how many would you have on the street and parallel, whatever it may be?
On the street, not a lot. I think it's over like 60 to 80, but on the parking garage, as far as parking garage goes, close to 1,000 spaces.
Oh, 1,000?
1,000, close to, in general, in whole.
Wow. Okay. And then I know you can't give us specifics necessarily, but you'd mentioned anchors, businesses that would be the anchor. What type of businesses would you try to get in that space?
Restaurant, number one, number one restaurants. It could be such as pet shop, or fitness, gym, possibly, even though you'll have your own amenities there, but we notice there's, no real high-end fitness gym around here. That's basically it.
Okay. Have you guys talked with restaurants? I mean,
couple such as Panera Bread, like franchises and stuff, but they're looking for obviously more door space. They're interested in more population, so
and there you go.
That's their biggest concern, basically.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to say that I'm not against apartment complexes. I lived in apartment complexes before I moved to the Meadows. I also work for a development company, so I'm not against development at all. Actually, it's what pays the bills for me.
You and Amaya.
Yeah, exactly. But I do have concerns with these, and mostly are, I moved here in 91, so I have seen the Meadows grow. Everything that everybody has said, you don't truly understand unless you live here. And my concern is for the school. I know the issues that the teachers are dealing with students, and the cuts that they've had. And I do also know that, you can say that you have a one-bedroom apartment, but you can't necessarily regulate how many people are going to live there. It happens. I do have a concern as far as safety goes with our police department. We will have to, get some more police officers.
Of course.
That's hard for us now, for all the reasons that people have said. It's hard to find police officers right now. For me personally, again, I'm not against, a development there of some sort. I would like it to be maybe a condo, something that you have to own, personally. But I would like to see, commercial is what we're looking for. We have a lot of issues in our city right now, and we need to address them. And we need more money. We need more sales tax. So for me, this type of development is further down on my list. I know you've done some other projects, but this particular one you have not done.
Correct.
And I'm not necessarily faulting you for that. Everybody has to start somewhere. But I'm not necessarily interested in a resume builder at this moment. You know what I mean? What goes there is going to be there forever. And so it is very important to us that, what goes in there is a quality development. And so, that's just kind of where I stand with that. Going towards the millennials, they're not coming to Meadows Place. You have done some things in the Heights. That's where they are. The millennials are going to the Heights. They don't come out to the suburbs unless they're ready to start a family, for the most part. And I do agree, with the grid across the street, there is a lot of places that you can go over there. So my concern is also, why would they necessarily come to the Meadows, especially at that price point? So for me, I'm not necessarily against a development, but not this particular one at this time. It's just where I stand.
Thank you. If we're giving our sounds like that. I'll echo some of the things that I've heard and just say that when I first heard about it, I thought, no way. And then when I looked at the commercial mix, I thought, okay, let's look at it. I think the mayor alluded to it earlier. The first thing that set off a red flag for me, as I'm used to looking at designs and building, was the fact that the floor plan didn't match the concept at all. And so it was like, and the concepts were kind of what we were looking at is, hey, this is one had almost a total interior package. I thought it was my favorite. I would live there if I could. Affordability was not sure, but the one that made best sense for the city was the one that had the retail space on the outside, had the park, garden, open area, surface parking, something that Meadows residents could enjoy, or people going up and down West Airport would stop and go to. I think I was still looking for more of the presentation to be a little bit more solidified, but I'd have to say my feeling tonight would be to say no, and a couple reasons. Part of it is I've heard from a lot of residents, both email and people I've talked to, that just have a lot of concerns about changing the culture of this city in a way that maybe not be positive. Heard about the traffic. I've had conversations about that, realizing how many cars are already there. I'm not sure it would make a big difference. But for me, something that Terry said, when you own a piece of property, you take care of it differently. And so for me, if we could make this an ownership, and we bring in more owners to Meadows that have a stake in the city, that want the city to grow and be solid and vote and are here, and that don't have kids that are going to go to this school this year and another school next year. If we have people that are residents like the people that already live here are, I think I would be a proponent of it. So own versus rent. And then the last one really was, I'm looking at my property values and thinking, is this going to make them better or worse? And I don't really know. That's a coin toss. It really is. I mean, when we first moved here,
I think Deauville Mall was still opening up stuff, and it was still growing. It was like, hey, this is kind of cool. And at that point, Sharpstown and Westwood were both still open. All of that's gone. Same thing with most of the retail has not disappeared. It's transitioned, and brick and mortar is getting harder and harder. Go to First Colony Mall. It's not what it was even 10 years ago. So for me, restaurants, condos, something that the ownership is what I'm looking for. So the way it's presented tonight, my vote would be no. Yeah.
The way it's presented, I'm with David tonight. I need to see more ownership, restaurants, stuff like that. Not the, apartment crowd. I was the apartment crowd forever, but I don't want to see my home values drop and everything. So it'd be a definite no tonight.
All right, I went last the last time, so I guess you get to go last this time. I love the concept. My kids, my family, we go to City Center, we go to Town Square, we go to all the places where the kids run around, we do the restaurant thing. We would love to have that, after a swim meet, after a baseball game. And I've been very curious about this project the whole time. I've been asking questions and saying, hey, let's consider this, and then, of course, bring it to the public. The biggest sticking point for me is our school. That's a tough one. I'm going to have 3 kids at Meadows Elementary next year, which I'm excited about. All 3 kids at one school for 1 year. So I'm loving it. But I see the strain that the teachers have already, and it's tough. I can't get past that. There's no other way. We just built a brand new school. It's not like we can go add another 50,000 square feet to the building to accommodate more students. And inevitably they will come, whether you have a 1-bedroom or not. People will use the address, and I've read up on a lot of this now because it's been presented to us by the residents. So I love the concept. If the school wasn't my sticking point, I'd say, let's do it. It's been the field of dreams, is what I've called it for a long time, because it's literally a field that's empty, and it needs to have some use at some point. But the heartbeat of the school the heartbeat of the city is the school, and I don't think this would have a good impact on the school. So I'm thankful for y'all's time. I'm thankful for the presentation, but I have to say no.
And as for me, I've been on planning and zoning or city council for over 20 years now. I've voted against apartment at this site at least a half a dozen times. I haven't seen anything that would change my vote. If you guys do decide to continue, understand that because this is PD, we would be setting a threshold for the sales tax, and part of the PD would be anytime that you don't meet that projection per month.
PD is planned development, by the way.
Yeah, not the police department, planned development. Any time that you don't meet that threshold, you write a check to the city for the difference. That's what we had with Vroom. They were paying us $10,000 a month because they didn't fill the retail space. And, what that number would be, we would need to determine that, but there would need to be a guarantee on the sales tax.
With a plan development, it's negotiable. It can be written into that ordinance. So, yeah.
But as I said previously, we had approved a 9-story building on this site. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. The only other thing I'd like to say is I really appreciate everybody coming tonight. This is the most people I've ever seen at a council meeting.
Council,
and
let's give
I
them a
really,
round of
really,
applause.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
No, I'd like to thank everybody for their time. Really, this is for you guys more than the business concept. We wanted your feedback. We wanted your opinion. That's all that matters to us, actually, because, we want to make sure this, caters you guys. It's not something that's a burden for you guys. I appreciate the time for everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yep. Great to see you.
And council, I'm moving on to item 2. We are adjourned.